What up?
Tobi?
Yeah.
You want to do the honors of this introduction with the return?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Volume 2 of the... Whoa, that was weird. I was about to say the Geektastic Cypher. No, this is That's Canon, folks. We are back. Now, to you, it might not seem like it's been 2 seasons, but to us, we've taken a long break between the first season, the first volume, and the second volume. And today we're back with, I think we did Batman a few times or a couple times last season or last volume. I'm going to keep saying season and volume at the same time because I'm rusty, folks. It's been a while.
Yeah, we did Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So today we're going to be doing Batman the White Knight. But before we start, how have you guys been?
Well, I was just explaining to this lovely room that I made the mistake. So we were supposed to do this issue a few months back, and I made the mistake of watching Gotham, the series, in between when we were supposed to do this and now. And that has tainted...
He's all bitter, folks.
That has tainted Batman and the Gotham universe for me in a way that is just insanely impossible. Like, that's so annoyed.
Terrible.
I'm so annoyed.
Now you
with
can't
them.
You can't even watch the Titans show with an open mind anymore.
No, I watched the Titans show already. Actually, I watched the pilot and was. I mean, I was disappointed.
That's not good.
I was
That's
disappointed,
a face.
but I was disappointed in the pilot. And you guys know me. I'm very specific. I like when the base logic of a situation is applied. Just the minimal logic.
Right.
So I'll tell you guys this one thing. When there's a camera in a police station and it's set up behind the light fixture so that the light fixture blocks the door so you can't see who walks into a room, something that small seems really fucking stupid to me.
That is pretty stupid.
Yeah, so something like that, something that small, and I don't know if they did it because, they did it on purpose or if it's just that was a room they got and that's just how it was set up. I don't know. But for something that small, it just made me really mad. I was just like, that's just a really dumb set. Like, what kind of police station has a camera behind the light fixture so that when someone walks into a room, you can't see who it is? Like,
that's a huge oversight. Like, why is there even a camera there?
Yeah. So, and the things that happen around that situation because of that made me so mad because I was just like, well, this doesn't make sense now because there's a whole...
That's also lazy writing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's my pet peeve these days. And this is what I think Ethan Hawke was saying, because Ethan Hawke did an interview recently where he was asked about Logan, and he said how Logan's not that good of a movie, and people harped on him, and he was saying, no, here's the thing. I think Logan's one of the better ones of the superhero movies, but my problem is we have become so accustomed to this standard that when someone does something slightly better, we go ooh and ah when it's actually not that good. And our standards for this superhero stuff, because we never got it before, is so low that when people are writing these shows, they just don't care. And that scene in Titans that I'm talking about, and a few other things they did. Like, there's 3 things they do specifically that I'm like, that is such lazy storytelling and lazy application. Is it going to
be a spoiler if you mention what it is?
No, you know what? No, I don't think this one thing isn't a spoiler. At one point, Starfire uses her powers in a room. Starfire's power, she lights the whole room.
Okay.
The one thing she needed in the room doesn't get destroyed. Everything else in the room.
That's her concentrating dog.
Nah, man. No, see, if I could explain more, I would. But there's a scene. She uses her powers. The whole room lights on fire. She walks over and she picks up what she needs. And I look and I'm like, no, that makes absolutely no sense. There are things in the room that had a lower burning, like, I'm not a fucking scientist, but I know basics. There are things in the room that had a higher point of burn than this item that were destroyed. But
you mean they're more resistant to to
heat. Yeah,
it's like there's like a steel trash can and she's going after a piece of paper, but the piece of paper survives and the steel trash can is pulled into the ground.
I didn't say it. I did not say it. But thank you.
I did not watch it, so if I'm spoiling something,
you didn't watch it. But just from my description, you figured out that paper survived a fucking inferno. And that is
going back to Ethan Hawke's statement real quick, though.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from, and I definitely do see it where, like, for example, Venom, we spoke about this on Geektastic not too long ago.
Yeah.
And that is a little bit of an example of lazy writing. Though it was entertaining and fun to watch,
Yes.
that is an example of what he's talking about. I don't think Logan should be grouped in that slightly better phase because it's not necessarily a superhero movie. It's about a guy with powers and
It's still a
people
comic book
being
movie,
devastated. Right, but it is a comic book movie, but it's not along the same lines as the Avengers almost, or like any DCEU movie. It's more grounded in reality, kind of.
Yeah,
right.
But the thing is, though, it seems that there's certain actors that just don't like the whole. Because like superheroes are becoming like the new Western, like action 80s 90s action thing. Like for example, I know Jodie Foster, she actually had a very interesting argument, and I read it and I was like, this is very cool, but like I don't know if I agree with it. She was just saying like because of these comic book movies, the standards of making good movies are going down because everyone wants. Like, because especially like Marvel, it's like you get everything. You get your action, you get your comedy, you get everything's like in the flash in the pan. So if someone's trying to do like a deep storied movie, no one goes to see it in the theaters. You might have people who take it out on Netflix or whatever. But like those movies are being oversighted because like, oh, it's not meeting all the checklist boxes. You know what I mean? Which I get that, but at the same time, it's like, yo, man, don't rag on my childhood.
But you know what? I agree with them. That's the kind of crazy part. I understand what they're saying because as someone who's, and I think we've all like consumed movies en masse, right? We all watch a lot of movies. We all, read a lot of comic books, and I think when we watch these movies, we can tell there was a period, and I think if anything. What happened is, and like you were saying, it all moved to Netflix and HBO. Like the quality of storytelling, Game of Thrones, stuff like that. Those are all, you don't need, I guess, because I don't need my movies to be that level, I just want my movie to be 2 hours of whatever. But when I want deep storytelling, I'll turn to Game of Thrones, I'll turn to Westworld, I'll turn those are the type of shows now that are giving me my kicks and my like, and
the reason why is because they're not movies.
Yeah,
they actually have the time to develop characters and write them out and not actually squeeze so much into a 2-hour block because you feel like you need to put everything in, right?
But that's the problem. Movies used to be able to do that. What happened? Why are movies not able to develop a character and tell us a story in 2 hours like they used to? It's weird.
Because they're using an IP that's well known. There's such a plethora of information. Sometimes just having so much information is also a detriment to your project, I find too, right?
But the thing is now, and I think because, as stories evolve, so does storytelling, right? And so does like the audience is interest in those storytellings. I find, for example, very often when you have a really good movie, which is a deep movie, the problem is like you wanted to know more about this character, whereas now, such as Game of Thrones is a great example. You have this nice time frame of basically, as long as your show does well, of course, and you could see how far your show is going, so you don't have to abruptly cut anything. You're able to go into the deep aspects that maybe you wouldn't have done in a movie. Like, for example, if you were to do Fight Club now, you would learn about everybody. It would be like Lost. You'd learn a little bit about every guy who joined the Fight Club fight. And then maybe eventually you'd get to the point where you find out, oh, wait, Brad Pitt is really Edward Norton, blah, 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 blah.
But are you saying like, as a movie or as a show? Because
I'm saying like now, if they were to try and do Fight Club now, I think they would have, like, let's say Fight Club never existed.
Yeah. And
they tried to do it now. I'd imagine it'd end up being picked up as like a season or a 2-season show as opposed to a movie, right? But
I would love
that. Again, if that was never, like, imagine that though, right? Like, that's like your reaction is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's why it can't be done anymore.
I think it sucks because for those of us who actually enjoy storytelling and seeing things unfold, we're being grouped in with this thought or this illusion that the new generation has a very short attention span and they just need more action and things happening now. They don't like to actually see things develop. That's why a lot of movies are being made that way now.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, there's just no meat to the story a lot of the times anymore.
But that's just society now. Like, that could be applied to so many aspects, and I could go on a big tangent about this, but like the world is all about instant gratification, dude. Even like the social, whether you want to say social in regards to meeting up with friends, meeting up to work colleagues, going out, dating, all that type of stuff, it's all instant gratification. If you don't meet a need, then the person just moves on.
There's a reason why we always quote these classic movies and these things, and it wasn't even that long ago. Like Aviator, for example, even though if you could look it up, it's based on a true story. Sorry, not Aviator, but Catch Me If You Can, for example.
Oh,
it's based on a
that
true
was good
story, but
storytelling.
it was still, the storytelling was still there. Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
There was like all these things happening and that you thought was the main story, and then at the end you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
No, there's no element of surprise anymore. I feel like I watch a movie now. 85% of the time, I know exactly beat for beat.
Oh yeah.
Or where it's going already.
Oh yeah, dude.
There's no element of surprise for me anymore.
That's why when
I'm sorry. I'll let you say that first. But that's why when I was watching Venom and I told you guys about that scene where the car pulls off, it's because I'm not necessarily watching. You know what I mean? I'm watching everything else around the story now because the story itself, like the dialogue, is not even intriguing.
You're like I know exactly where these points are going.
Exactly.
It's a connected dot. You're just like
my attention is elsewhere a lot of the times in movies now, which I guess that's where we're at. You know?
Well, and I mean that's what I was telling you guys last time. Like when I was watching Impulse. And I mean, I feel like I can spoil it at this point.
Yeah, it's a great show, by the way.
Great show.
Can't wait for it to
saw it. Not gonna.
But like one of the points where the character kills the other character, the character kills himself. Remember, I told you I applauded at work. I was on my break and I just started applauding because I was like, because they don't do stuff like that anymore. And the same thing with Star Trek Discovery. When you find out so and so is so and so, and it's all been a setup, and I was just like. And I applauded again because I was like, well done. I did not see that coming.
Is that a good show?
Yeah, it's very good. I like it.
Where's it placed? In the timeline?
It's before the original series.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. But is it before the original series and before...
10 years before.
Okay, so it's before that, but after that one with that guy from Quantum Leap.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you're talking Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
And then, then it's this one.
Kudos to you for knowing his name.
Yeah. I used to love that dude. He was awesome. Quantum Leap's the show.
I loved it when he was a girl. Like, he would always be putting, like, kids or girl bodies, and he's just like, God damn it, not again.
He's just, how do I do this?
We get a little Spock in season 2, which should be exciting.
Yeah, we get Christopher Pike. We get everything. I think we're supposed to see most of what happened on the Enterprise right before Kirk takes over.
Oh, cool.
Kirk,
yeah, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
All right, man.
All that to say, Batman.
Yeah, that was nice. Like it felt like coming back to school right there.
I know, catching up.
You haven't seen your friends all summer. Now you guys get to tell.
Look at my cool duds, guys.
You've seen during the summer. So I guess we'll start the way we normally do with the not the elevator pitch, but just the byline, the tagline for the actual comic book.
Yeah.
I have 2 of them open here actually. This one is for the White Knight issue number 1.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because I don't think they released the 8 as a trade yet.
No.
Okay.
But there's actually like a summary of the White Knight as well that I found that I guess I'll do a quick little read of. So here's the little synopsis.
Yeah.
In a world where Batman has gone too far, the Joker must save Gotham City. He's been called a maniac, a killer, and the clown prince of crime. But White Knight? Never. Until now.
Every time Toby does it, you're very like dramatic.
I mean, I wasn't laughing at the dramatic read. That was wonderful. I was laughing more at just the idea of the Joker being a White Knight.
White Knight, yeah.
Because as soon as I read the story, my first thought was, what's the angle? I know the Joker's not actually good. So yeah. Okay, you want to?
Before we started this podcast, we were actually talking about Heroes in season 2, where Sylar goes good and Peter Petrelli goes bad.
Yeah,
this is literally, I feel like, where they drew that inspiration from. A little bit. So I'll read the second one before we go into the elevator pitch.
Yeah, cool.
Set in a world where the Joker is cured of his insanity and homicidal tendencies, the Joker, now known as Jack Napier, sets about trying to right his wrongs. First, he plans to reconcile with Harley Quinn, and then he'll try to save the city from the one person who he thinks is truly Gotham's greatest villain, Batman. Interesting. Elevator pitch, guys.
Who wants
Dave?
to go first? Yeah, Dave, you go first.
Gosh.
Give us that.
I always
positive.
feel like I'm the one who goes first, but you guys have bad things to say.
Well, that's probably why it's best to get it out the way.
It's not fair. Biased motherfucker here watching Gotham and hating life afterwards. Okay, so if I had an elevator pitch, I'd just simply look at the guy in the elevator and be like, "Yo, what if we do a what if scenario where Joker actually is sane and decided to become insane in order to protect Gotham from Batman." Also had his obsession with Batman so strong that he wanted to get closer to him, so that's why he did it. And then he finally gets fed up about Batman and his bullshit, and he's like, you know what? I'm taking the Pepsi challenge. Make me normal again, and I'll save Gotham. That's basically it.
Okay. I think mine would be... Oh, man. So many things I want to say, but I'll keep it simple. Mine is hell hath no fury like a villain scorned.
Ooh.
That's essentially
Not
it.
sure.
Batman Joker.
Yeah,
You have to add that in.
Yes,
that,
right.
that person in the elevator is not going to know what you're talking about.
Hell hath no fury like a villain scorned. The Joker's tale, and then
There you go.
and then the guy's just like, what? And I was just like, think about it. For all the years that the Joker has been Batman's true blue Ace Boone Coon villain from the get-go, he's always wanted to be the best. He's always depicted as the one who he's actually gone out of his way to stop other people from killing Batman, because it's either I don't want him dead because I like playing with him, or I don't want him dead because I'm the one that's going to get to kill him. No one else gets to. So he's so possessive, he's like a possessive lover. And what happens when you realize that this person doesn't actually love you back? You're not special to him. You don't mean what you think you mean to him. It's not a game of tit for tat. The whole time, it's been you're obsessed with him, thinking he's obsessed with you, and he's actually been trying to stop you. It hasn't been this lover's quarrel that you've made up in your head. So hell hath no fury like a villain scorned, the Joker's tale. Yeah, I think
that was really good.
And as Doc is finishing up his elevator pitch, Toby comes in the elevator.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to top that, but I'm going to say at the same time, Batman also acts like an angsty teenager in this as well. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. I like the idea that you don't even stay on the elevator. You like it opens, you jump in, say it, and then it's about to close. You put your hand, you get out. You're like, goodbye. Yeah.
Like take a little bow as the elevator doors are closing.
Oh boy,
that's great. Yeah, so that's it.
There you go.
And before we get into the discussion of the comic book itself, we're going to go with our favorite segment. Personally, one of my favorite segments on any podcast I'm on. It's the judgment call. And I'll let Mr. Kojo, as usual, tell us what this is all about.
Well, Judgment Call is our segment where we pit two characters against each other. Each person has 3 minutes to fight for their right for their character to be in the spotlight. And this week, I believe Toby is going to be the judge.
That's right.
And I'll be going head-to-head with Doc. Well, it's always Judge's call about who goes first. I suggest the dancer go first. No one can see this, but I like this a lot. If we had like a meme for this should be the gif of the show right now with what Doc's doing.
All right, so I guess with that said, Doc will go ahead and go first and tell us why his character deserves more shine. And you'll get 2 minutes to do so.
It's 2 or 3.
No, it's 3. Yeah, it's 3.
Okay, we're going to go back. Okay, cool.
If you don't use them all, you don't have to use them all.
Let me get my stopwatch.
Let me know when.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, everybody. So my name is Brian Doc Holliday, and I want to talk to you today about a character that has never gotten the right amount of shine. Her name is Monica Rambeau, and she currently goes by Spectrum Photon. Actually, who knows? Why? Because the writers don't write her properly. Here's the problem. Now, a lot of people were saying, oh, we need the MCU to have its first strong female character, Captain Marvel. And what did they do? They skipped over the original and went straight to the blonde, blue-eyed Aryan princess. God bless America, whose color scheme reflects that of a true blue flag with red and a golden star instead of the white one, because goddamn it, we got color and we're gonna do it. But guess what? There was someone sitting in the background, a black woman, who wore a black and white superhero Captain Marvel suit, who fought and defended this planet against many a person, but never had the right story written for them. The best version of the character we've gotten recently that I've seen is someone on a team. She's part of the Ultimate with Black Panther, Blue Marvel, again, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and Miss America, what's her name? Vasquez. And all this to say is, when you're writing this character, she's always just been a part of something. For God's sakes, they had her in Marvel's Divas. That was their weird Sex in the City line that they did with Patsy and a whole bunch of other second-rate characters, when she's actually one of the most powerful characters. There's one time where she fights Thanos and stops him because she stops the electrical impulses in his brain with her powers. You have someone that powerful and you don't use them properly, it's because you don't know how to write them, and you're not giving writers the opportunity to write them well. I feel like what they do is they throw in when they think they have a situation that they don't know how to handle, and they have this whole thing about lights and it's cool, but they're not writing a good character. She has amazing powers, she has an amazing history, she's done amazing things, she can handle herself in a fight against someone like Thanos. Guys, you need to give her more shine, because right now what you're doing is making her they're making her the girlfriend of Blue Marvel. I'm all for black love, but we don't need it right now. We need strong characters who are independent and can do their own thing. Don't just tie her together. Don't just put her down with someone. Don't make her second fiddle. Don't make her the secondary character in the movie, or even the grandchild or child to a character. Bring her to the light and give her shine. Sorry, I got really amped at the end there.
Wowzers. That was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That was awesome, dude.
I don't need the other 30 seconds to explain why she's wonderful, and excellent, and beautiful, and well drawn. It would just be
all right, Dave. You ready to go?
I need a minute. No, just 1 second.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so who I'm going to bring up to the plate today, I'm going to be bringing up Andrea Beaumont, better known as the Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm. So, what do we know about this character? It was brought into us from Mask of the Phantasm. Oh, obviously I picked this character because of the book we're covering today, but she was first brought into us in the 1990s, introduced through the Batman animated series movie. What is her background? She is the first true love of Bruce Wayne. She is his first ex-fiancée, which if he had married her, he would not have become Batman. Her background is that she comes from a wealthy family, in which case her dad was doing dealings with the mob. He's tried to screw over the mob. They had to run away. When they ran away, what happens? They paid them all back their money because they were like, we know we fucked up. We just want to live. So we'll run away, pay you back your money. They pay them back money. But what happens? The mob is the mob. They're jealous. They're jackasses. They kill them anyways. So what happens? Years and years and years go by. And then, all of a sudden, those same mob bosses are just dying, left, right, and center. And who is it? It's quote-unquote Batman, because she's good enough to be able to plot things to make it so that everyone thinks that it's Batman. She then kills the entire mob, then goes on to face the Joker and Batman. She deciphers who Batman is on her own. She not only fights the Joker, but lives. I want to put that out there. She lives. Then we basically don't hear anything about her. She's sporadically put into comic books just more as like an image. And then the end, what's her only other thing that we know of? She was hired by Amanda Waller to try and create the new Batman, Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis. And she then goes up to Amanda Waller, of all people, and says, fuck you, I'm not going to do this because it's insane to kill another kid's parents, and fucks off. So what I'm interested to know is if your first mission is to take on Batman and the Joker and you win, basically, with the exception of not actually killing Joker, and you're so good that at the end of your career it's to create the new Batman, I want to know what happens in between, because if that's your stock, that means you did some interesting fucking shit in between. And if you were able to influence those two things, what else has she done? What other stones has she turned? And what has she done to other people to mold them how they are today? Boom.
Wow, guys. Way to make my job hard today.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Okay, so first up, we have Captain Marvel, or Monica Rambeau.
Do we not get our minute?
Yeah. We get a minute to harass each other.
See, I'm so rusty. I'm like skipping ahead.
Look at the outline, bro. Look at the outline.
You guys were on it. Let me flip a coin here. Doc, heads or tails?
Tails. Always tails.
Heads. Dave, go first.
All right, so tell me when I got my minute. Wait, what's her name again?
Oh, if you forgot, that's a...
Okay, it's Rambo. That's all.
All right.
It's
Ready?
Monica, but I paid attention.
All right, okay, so seriously, Monica Rambeau, you want to know why the writers were lazy about it? Because no one gives a shit. At the end of the day, I see your points. Cool, you took on Thanos, but you know what? Everyone's taken on Thanos at one point in time. Deadpool took on Thanos.
And what?
Yeah, he actually fights him for Death's love, and yeah, he wins. So sure, Thanos, good job, a little notch, who cares? The reason why she's not important is because just like why Sentry's not important, it's boring to have an OP character. If you have too many in the Marvel DC, in the Marvel U, it ends up getting boring. They have too many. I agree there's the need for more women characters. It'd be nice that there's also diversity with her being an African American, but you know what? You try. If you never hit the ball, you're never going to get a home run. That's why she's not been brought to the table. She's so forgettable that I could barely remember things that you were saying, not because it wasn't interesting points that you were bringing up, it's because no one cares. And frankly, I'm tired of all this Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, is it DC, is it Marvel? That's where they screwed up. Make a nice original character without banking on something else.
All right. 1 minute, 5 seconds, Doc. That's how long you get.
Perfect.
And go.
There's a reason that no one told the story in between the time from where they were to where they ended up. Like you just said, no one gives a fuck. I don't care what she did or how Amanda Waller used her, because I don't care about anyone that comes along, fights, and then goes off like a ghost. Because guess what? Your name was Phantasm, so just be a ghost. Be out there and don't do anything interesting. For all we know, she sat in a room, watched TV her whole life, and never did anything else. And that would just not be an interesting story to tell. And what, we're going to create stories for her? We don't have to. There's a reason no one wanted to write anymore. She's not interesting. Just because you can fight Batman, same as you with your point about Thanos, everyone's fought Batman. A lot of people have survived Batman. Why do you think his rogue gallery still exists? And taking on the Joker, Batman literally takes that motherfucker on every week and still hasn't killed him. No one's killed the Joker. That's not all that interesting that she did these things that everyone in Batman's universe has done. Everyone has done it multiple times, except for Todd, who comes back from the dead to fight him again. So even the dead ones come back.
1 minute and 5 seconds.
There you go. The point was the first time.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. What is this? Making points afterwards. I don't care. No one heard you, so
you're
let's
going to get some time to duck it up your next time there, Dave.
Happened before.
Okay. Rebel without a cause over here.
I know.
Going back to Monica Rambeau, she is, like I said before, Pulsar, the original Captain Marvel after Marvel's death.
Yeah.
I agree that they actually had a chance here to bring someone new in, someone who probably has a different angle in terms of storytelling versus a typical, white Southern girl from, Smallville, America.
Kansas.
Now, that said, though, I am interested to see how they tell the tale of this Captain Marvel.
Oh, agreed.
The trailer itself wasn't very overwhelming or very enticing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're fans and we're still going to go see it.
Yeah.
She punches an old lady.
I'm still very excited for that movie, by the way. I wasn't saying she doesn't deserve shine. I was just saying you skipped over somebody. But
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the whole I'm going to say your arguments at the same time as well, saying that Deadpool fought Thanos and, he won as well. I mean, Deadpool can't die. He's not stronger than Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't necessarily beat Thanos. That said,
stops him.
Thanos could crush him and he'd just come back. If anything, he'd wear Thanos out and Thanos would be like, all right, I'm going to come back for you later. Now going back to Andrea Beaumont, Mask of the Phantasm is definitely in my top 5 best Batman movies, animated movies, simply because of how intriguing and how well thought out and planned her her plan, for lack of a better word, was. She definitely took her time. You can tell that after her father's death, she plotted this whole thing. She was smart enough to figure out who Batman was, surviving the blaze at the end with her and the Joker, leaving him a clue. Leaving him a clue, but he's dumb enough not to realize it's a clue. The locket at the end.
We had to make it hard for you in the first one back.
I know. Everything I've been saying is because I actually like both these stories.
Yeah.
Because Marvel is winning right now in terms of everything.
Okay.
And DC hasn't had a chance to really get a lot right since the Dark Knight series.
True.
I am going to give Andrea Beaumont her time in the spotlight today.
Very fair.
Because I am very curious as to the in-between stories. And honestly, what she does after surviving. Does she go somewhere else?
Agreed.
Does she come back? I would love to see a little bit more of that story fleshed out. And seeing as she is the one woman, I think that Batman actually would have dropped everything for.
Yes.
She's his kryptonite, for lack of a better word.
Ooh.
Andrea Beaumont is our winner today.
There you go.
Thank you. Good job, sir. Very, very well.
Well done. Well done. I was going to say it was hard to defend against that because I generally do find it would be interesting to tell the story between point A and point B. I mean, I said we don't care, but we're debating. So.
Yeah, we're just hating on each other.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is interesting because if she's the one that's being brought in by Amanda Waller, it is true. What have you been doing? Why is it that a Waller is leaning on you? Is it because you know everything about Bruce and you know the things that need to be done to make another Bruce better than anyone else? Also, why does Waller know so much too? That's the other thing. So there's I'd be down to see, was Phantasm secretly working with the Suicide Squad in the background the whole time?
You never know.
All these very interesting
all submission,
things.
They could be doing missions and she's doing the real mission. There's a lot, and
that would be very interesting to see.
And just the fact that she stands up to because I won't lie, I watched because of doing this. I was like, I'm gonna watch. I watched both the movie and that episode from Justice League Unlimited again.
Yeah, and
you see, it's not just she screws off. She goes up to Amanda Waller and gets in her face. You're like, yo, where's that neck bomb that's about to go off and kill you? That was in my head. And the fact that she did that, I was like,
what would be really cool, guys? If James Gunn heard this episode and worked her into a script for Suicide Squad 2. Just saying.
Incredible.
So this is dated October 13th. So if this shit happens, we called it, gentlemen. We said it. We're prophets.
It wouldn't be crazy.
Making a note of that as we speak.
It wouldn't be too crazy. No. It would not be too crazy.
Speaking of which, I hope he saves my show, my movie, my characters. I hope I hope he saves. I hope they make him the director, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with him writing. My thing is, one of the things I'm wondering is if he does that good of a job, are they going to try and reestablish the DCEU? Because right now, my understanding is that they've given up on the idea of a connected universe.
Well,
they have. It's because they they didn't plan anything out.
Yeah.
So coming from someone who actually has experience with a planned out universe and potentially is thinking 5, 4, 3, I don't know how many series ahead.
Yeah.
It's possible that they actually start, but organically.
Yeah.
Not forcibly like you have, but organically work in a connected universe.
But you know what the problem with DC was if we're going to really take a tangent for a moment and compare, the real problem is that Marvel, whether it was Marvel underneath actually Marvel or it was Marvel under Fox, Marvel under Sony, under blah blah blah,
right,
there was you had at least 3 X-Men movies out, you had the Wolverine movie out, you had Blade, right, you had 3 Spider-Mans, you had 2 Fantastic Fours, you had a lot of movies to okay, people, we know how to make superhero movies now. Now that we know how to do that, and everyone's made all these mistakes, especially specifically for our type of universe, which is a bit more bubbly, they were able to do it. Whereas DC, you only had Batman movies, which is only one type of direction you're going in.
Yeah, your Superman movie was done too long ago.
Yeah, I have a counter argument for your thing. Yeah, but go ahead.
And you're more welcome in 2 seconds. But you didn't make any movies, almost not even any TV series, almost at that time, to say, well, we know what we're doing. And to be honest, if you really look at it, and it comes out a lot in the Justice League movie, you gotta choose a direction and you gotta stay with it. The Marvel U, they basically said, each character's movie will be a type of movie. Captain America's is the spy movie. Iron Man is more of the tech movie. Hulk is the man on the run movie. And they'll all have like a feel, but they'll all still have their independent feel, but their direction and how they present the information is similar. It's to a certain degree light and fun, whereas the DC movies, you didn't choose that for everyone. You did it a bit with Man of Steel, and I think another thing that was a big problem with DC, don't redo Batman. Take Christopher Nolan's Batman and just act as if the last one didn't happen.
I mean, the last one could happen. It's just that you have a
Batman
gap
comes
between...
back? No, but because he retires. And
Batman never actually retires. That's the point.
Like, yeah, but the point... Because the thing is, if I don't want to go on too much a tangent again, but in the third one, what sucked is they humanized Batman too much. That was the thing. Because the thing is, in the first two movies, it was a real-world situation, but there's still a super aspect. In the third movie, your bone marrow or your whatever, your cartilage is all gone and stuff. You're like, don't do this. Like, Batman is supposed to be the perfect human. He doesn't have this problem.
I appreciated that they did that. I appreciate that they showed that Batman has to eventually rely on tech to still maintain himself. And I'm okay with that, because when you do The Dark Knight, the actual comic book that Miller wrote, he is that old guy who's using tech to maintain his abilities to fight the mutant.
But that's a movie you do in a few years, not now.
But that's the idea. The last movie was a few years later. That was the point.
No, but I mean, like, because in releasing, because you want to tell more stories, you need Batman to be part of those stories. That story arc has to happen later. Yeah, because it won't be believable. Even Ben Affleck as Batman, as 40-year-old Batman, it wasn't believable to me.
Sorry,
go on, Toby. I'm sorry.
Should have been used more for a Batman Beyond or like a later, the Dark Knight series.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now going back to the DC comment real quick. DC did, even if they did not actually have those movies that Marvel made, they still had a template based on the movies that Marvel made. They still had something to learn from.
Yeah.
They could have still drawn lessons from what Marvel already did and come in saying, hey, we know how to do this as well. Yeah. You can actually poach people. This is not something that's new in the industry. You can poach people that's worked on certain projects and use their knowledge to make your project better. That said, though, there's a George Orwell quote that actually fits in here, which is what Marvel did, which is, we do not merely destroy our enemies, we change them. Mm-hmm. Marvel changed them. Marvel changed the game when it comes to this whole thing.
Yeah,
and
the universe.
DC was just, DC just was caught off guard. And that's pretty much what's happening now. But I think they've settled in after them, everything, the dust is settled. I think they've settled in, and I think we're going to start seeing some pretty good movies from them.
Honestly, hopefully. Just get the people who write your animated stuff to write your movies.
Oh, we've been saying that, yeah.
Because I'm sorry, they rule with animated. Yeah. There's no hands down about that. Yeah, if anyone were, I'd take that to my grave.
Absolutely. Not sure if anyone else in the inner circle is saying that, and that's what's a little frustrating for us, right? Okay, so we've said all that. let's
I like the tangents today.
The main reason why we gathered here today, our discussion on Batman: The White Knight.
I don't know, guys.
Where do we start with this story? Do we start with Joker becoming Jack, transitioning to Jack, and the whole Harley Quinn B plot?
Okay, so I'll start with this.
Yeah.
For me, the Harley Quinn stuff was excellent. Mm-hmm. And I respect the fact that the story here is a reminder that Harley Quinn is actually one of the most intelligent characters in the Batman lore.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That Harley Quinn, as she is, knows exactly what she's doing. And although she teams up with the Joker, and, I guess this universe is an Elseworld type of approach, because it's not your standard Batman universe. It's like a side, which is fine. Yeah. But maintaining the base characterizations, she was a therapist. She worked with Joker. He broke her mind, quote unquote. She went on the run with him, but then realized, this isn't working for me. And in the story, moves on and goes about her life. But realizes,
calling her a therapist is also like downplaying her intelligence. I mean, she is a psychologist.
Sorry. Psychologist, yeah.
Right.
I that was more a mistake on terminology. It wasn't to downplay her. But like, she understands the mind. Is the main point we're trying to make. Yeah. And she could see the potential in Jack, aka the Joker, and she could see what Batman was doing, and she could see that he was also broken, and she's smart enough to manipulate situations to her advantage. And throughout the whole story, that was the one thing I very much appreciated. There are other things I didn't appreciate, which I'll discuss as we go on, but I will give that to the writer.
Yes, and I agree with you on that point. In terms of Harley Quinn as well, and again, we're going to talk about this story from beginning to the end, but I am going to jump right now to the end. As you're going through the story with Harley Quinn and Jack, aka Joker, you realize that she's actually sort of influencing him in a way, but making it feel like he's the one making the decisions.
Yeah, manipulating.
At the end, and this kind of surprised me because I thought maybe it was unnecessary, but it was just like, makes sense that she'd be the one to do all this. It turns out that she was the reason why he went from Joker to Jack to begin with, because we didn't discuss this yet, but this story opens up with the Joker being chased around by Batman as usual. Joker setting traps for Batman. Things that actually, these traps are something that's going to be used against Batman later in the story.
Yeah.
Now, then Joker was bringing Batman to this warehouse full of pills. It's a little lost on me. I tried rereading it, but how we got to that point to realize that these pills would help him go from Joker to Jack.
He was just being
these pills
insane.
Apparently helped suppress his Joker, I guess, personality, because also the Joker here is played off as a DID situation, dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Right? When the Joker takes over, he's the Joker. He knows he's in control. He knows there's another personality in there that's Jack, and he can't let him out. Whereas when Jack is out, he knows that the Joker is in there. He knows there's another personality in there that's the Joker, and he's not going to let him out. So they played it like that. There's like two people in one. But I'm just not sure how he knew that, and it's not told to you right away how he knew that, unless I missed it, that the pills that he was going to find in this warehouse would turn him from Joker to Jack.
Well, he was just being, if I remember in the story, he was just basically being plotted off as being insane at that point. Like he was taking the what's that game when you have the gun and you was one bullet?
Russian roulette.
Russian roulette with it. He was just doing that. So the only thing I'll add on to your guys' point is it really just shows love is blinding in this, and it also shows that behind every good man, there's a good woman. That's what I think that they were trying to go with that. I think they're...
What about behind every crazy man?
Well, no, because when he's crazy, she ain't there, right? No, I thought there was actually a lot of cool things about this. One thing I really appreciated about it, because like as you're saying, it's like an Elseworlds or whatever, but what I thought was really cool is that they took all sorts of references, not from one, but all Batman stuff, and they meshed that all together, and they made that work. And I thought that was amazing.
You've mentioned that to me before. I think, we had this discussion at some point.
Yeah, on the side. And I thought that was great because I was there and I was like looking at stuff. I'm like, holy shit, this is from the animated series. This is from this movie. This is from the 60s show. This is from this episode.
I will give them credit for that. They found a way to merge and mesh a lot of universes into one story,
and that was very well done.
Yes.
Even some things that I like, example, just when they were showing all the Batmobiles, I was like, oh man, I want to like, what universe is that one from, and this one, and like there was some that I didn't know, and I was like really surprised.
And the fact that Batman lets everyone else drive it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was really awesome.
Everyone else being like the police department, Commissioner Gordon, all those guys get to actually drive the Batmobiles.
The Joker,
and this
technically,
is all later on in the story in an attempt to kind of stop this whole crazy. All the villains coming together to fight, Batman and the rest of Gotham, pretty much. Yeah. Now, going back quickly to the Harley Quinn story. So now at this point, Joker has become Jack after taking the pills, and now he's supposedly sane again. And he goes back and sees the current Harley Quinn that he's been running around with. The Harley Quinn inspired, the Harley Quinn that inspired the Suicide Squad version of Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The whole skimpy outfit Harley Quinn.
The dirty Harley.
And she is probably more insane than he is in a different way. And she doesn't like sober Joker.
She's also suicidal.
Yeah, no, she's crazy. Yeah. She's the insane... That's it. The two Harleys are the two personalities of the Joker, if you really think about it.
Yes, the two sides.
Yeah,
and you mentioned before that she's she didn't want to be around. She being Harleen Quinzel, the psychologist. Didn't want to be around the Joker when he was insane, but she met him when he was insane. She might have seen Jack in Joker doing their therapy sessions, but she met the Joker and she ran away and became Harley Quinn because of the Joker. Yeah. So she definitely lost her way too, probably because she, it was a thrill to her. He was different, and there was a rush that came with being with someone that insane, right?
It's how good girls fall for bad guys.
What's that?
It's how good girls fall for bad guys, right?
Absolutely.
And they try to fix them.
That's actually very true.
My major problem with Harley's approach to the Joker, and if that's the case, and we've seen it in the movie as well, Suicide Squad, when she is revealed her ideal world is her with kids with the Joker, being in a suit. And that actually is like a reoccurring theme, the idea that Harley wants the Joker to eventually settle down. Right. At least in this comic is the epitome of her trying to
domesticate him.
Domesticate the Joker.
Well said.
And the thing that drives me crazy is why? Why? Like, I get what you're saying about, sometimes a woman wants to fix a man, or a partner wants to fix a partner, let's say. Break it down.
Very good point.
Non-gender. Like, people do that in general, But why would you want to do that with someone who is obviously broken beyond, like, is it the challenge because she's a psychologist? This is the ultimate challenge because he is so broken. I don't even know if I can, so I want to try. Because when I
think there's a little bit of an ego thing in there as well. If I can't fix him, no one can. Type situation.
Yeah. And if I do, I get to keep him.
To her to want to fix him.
But I mean, funny enough, my blurred groups online, whenever they always post this thing about like the most annoying thing is when you fix a man and you see him with someone else, when you see him move on to someone else. So like it's true though. Like this whole time, it's just, and like you said, if she is legitimately trying to fix the Joker, once he's fixed, would he still want to stay with the person who ran around with him, killing and mutilating and destroying people? Even if you are the one that helped him become better, if you're the one that helped stabilize the Joker, would you then turn around as the now sane Joker and say, I'll stay with you, knowing full well at one point you were just as crazy as me. We both gassed people. We both beat people. We both stole. I wouldn't want to stay with that person in my life.
But it's a tit for tat because then he gets to fix her.
He can't. He's crazy. He
has no hold on anything to do with his brain.
Think of it this way. You're an alcoholic. The person that drinks with you decides they're going to help you drop the addiction. Then you stay with them knowing that they're also like,
but she's not drinking anymore, though, right?
Yeah, but it's still risky.
No, I'm not saying it's not.
Like for me, I'm happy if two people have an addiction together and can overcome it. But the thing is, it's not two people overcoming it together. She manipulates. She has the ego, and I think the point we're coming across to is Harley might be the real villain, which
she's definitely driving everything in the background.
But like,
she's definitely the puppeteer in this.
But that's what they said in Suicide Squad, right? Remember at one point Waller's just like, she's crazier than the Joker. And that's the point. I do think one of the main things about Harley is actually crazier than Joker, because the Joker is broken and insane, but Harley is highly intelligent and insane.
Yeah, but isn't he super intelligent or whatever?
Hyper intelligent.
That argument?
There's that argument.
That's the thing. There's a difference though. Her intelligence is slightly different in the sense that his is more to benefit his insanity. Hers is to benefit her, whatever she's missing. Like there's a hole in her life. And when she met the Joker, he filled that hole.
Yeah,
it's true.
Whereas to him, he doesn't care about anyone or anything other than the insanity or the insane thoughts that are going on in his head.
Well, in Batman, he cares about that.
That's why he's able to. That's why he's able to pull off all these diabolical plots and stuff like that and get away clean. It's because that's all he thinks about.
Yeah,
those things are all he thinks about. Whereas her, it's more of a personal endeavor.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, question, guys.
Personal endeavor to it. Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the fact that he couldn't tell it was a different person? But then when we heard the Neo Joker, who is the Marianne, whatever, when we heard her version of the story, she's a cutter, she's sad, she's broken. He brings her back to after she helps with the robbery. He kept her alive because she was about to hurt herself. It saved her being with him. He comes over and hands her the costume. But he then doesn't realize that it's a different person. I'm not saying that's a flaw in the writing, but it's more like How broken is the Joker that... What are your thoughts on that? Sorry, I'll let you guys get... Because that's my question.
I think he knows. He just doesn't care.
Okay.
Agreed. I think it's the concept of... And because the one thing I'll bring up a secondary point to this before I start. One thing that was really cool about it, for me, is that in the New 52... there is a story arc where Harley Quinn is actually separating herself from the Joker. She is actively saying, "I don't want to be with this anymore. He's bad for me."
Oh yeah.
And then she's recounting. I forget if he does it live or he's recounting. I think they're recounting a story of him and her. And he grabs her because he's upset with her, and he throws her in this like it looks like a pit initially, but you realize it's in a room, and you see all these dead bodies with Harley Quinn costumes on. He's like, "What makes you think you were the first?"
Oh.
So I like that because they're playing off of that. So if anything, what I'm actually thinking, because I always thought when I read that...
So the idea there is that Harley Quinn is not Harley Quinzel.
Well, no, the thing is this. She is Harley Quinzel. I've read it a few times, and I've read the arc a few times.
Yeah.
I think what he's trying to do is like, no, you aren't the only one, but I think you are... Sorry, he said to her, don't think you're the only one, but I think Harleen was the first...
Yeah.
And then when she sporadically said, "Okay, I don't want to be with you anymore," he's like, "Well, I don't want to be alone." Because the one thing is, obviously, Joker does not want to be alone. Hence why he always chases Batman.
Yeah.
So he always needs somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what happened here. And I feel like this is one of those times where it's like, this is the story of the first time there was a second one.
Ooh,
so you get what I'm saying?
Funny that he doesn't want to be alone. And if you're going to go back to the White Knight for a second, and he's not alone because Jack is in there.
Well, no,
but
I know.
He chooses not to be himself.
Yeah, but Jack is always going to be trying to stop him because that's the point, right? Jack. I mean, actually, no. I should say, and this is another part of the story. So at one point, Jack and Harley, now Harleen, Dr. Quinzel, I'll say.
Yeah.
So Dr. Quinzel and Jack Napier work out a plan to essentially control the underworld,
which was a great plan in my opinion.
Great plan.
Do we want to say that for the viewers quickly? Like
what the plan is?
What the plan was? How it worked?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, basically, they realized that they want to take over the crime situation in order to manipulate Gotham as a whole to be able to do their global plan. So they think, okay, well, we'll take the Mad Hatter's mind control manipulation technology, and they're like, okay, we can't control that many bodies, but what if we could only control one that can control one ring to control them all, so to speak? And they ended up putting the mind control stuff on Clayface, and then took bits of Clayface, put it in drinks, and then served it to all the villains. Which, FYI, I also want to put another side note on this. This story, although they like all the Batman stuff, it's obviously that this is a bit more influenced by the Batman animated series because there's a lot more references into it. And one of my favorite ones, I'm even wearing, unfortunately we're not having this televised, but I'm wearing a shirt of my favorite episode, which is the episode of Batman animated series called Almost Got Him. And it's one where they're all around in a bar and they're all re-encounter. It's the Joker, Penguin, Two-Face, Croc, and Ivy, and they're all re-encountering a story about how they almost got to kill Batman. And they're giving, in the White Knight, Jack Napier meets them all. And he's like, oh, let's have a toast, because usually when we're here, it's only to talk about how we almost got him. And I was like, oh my God, I love this.
A reference, yeah.
I love this reference. And the thing is, everyone is now that's when I saw everyone's kind of drawn like the animated series. They even have the little girl who can't grow was with Croc, which that's a Batman animated series episode, which is amazing. So I love that. And then they all drink their alcohol, which has Clayface in it, and then they could control everyone. So that I thought was really, really cool.
Now, it's funny that we spent so much time talking about Harley, because as we started talking and after reading this, I'm like, this is not a Batman or Joker story.
Right?
This is about the person who's really, she's the one pitting them against each other. If she wasn't in the story, Joker would have never been this sort of ambitious.
Yeah.
Even as Jack, he's still plotting against Batman. And it's not because it's his choice. It's because she's saying, like, we can control the city this way, we can take Batman down this way, he's the villain. It's really strange to me that...
But I get that they titled it White Knight and the angle is Joker, because you don't want to give away that the main villain is Dr. Quinzel.
That's exactly good storytelling.
It's great storytelling because we always talk about that. Yeah,
it's reminiscent of The Usual Suspects in the sense that she's Kaiser
But question,
and you didn't know that really until the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you have either of you have any idea that it was her pulling the strings? Okay,
not until the last 2 pages.
Yeah. And that's what we've been saying. We said it before. We're saying it now. If you can write a good story, even if you are telling the same story that everyone else is told, if you can find an angle that is interesting and write it well, I will love it. Yeah. And that's the thing. When I was reading this initially, and I'm actually happy we talked about Dr. Quinzel so much because I'm less annoyed with the whole Gotham thing now. Because Dr. Quinzel actually is a super interesting character. And I like the idea that the DC in general is trying to show us that Harley actually is way more powerful than just being the Joker's sidekick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she doesn't have powers, but man,
she's intelligent.
She's very, very strong, powerful woman.
Yeah.
And she's strong enough to leave the Joker, when he had so much control over her.
Yes.
At a certain point, she actually did fall into that hole where he was in control and she didn't, she couldn't get out.
Yeah.
But she still found a way out.
But I thought the interaction specifically between whether you want Joker or Napier with Batman and then their interactions with Harley Quinn, the dialogue specifically was amazing. Like it was mind blowing. Like even how Joker right before he takes the pill describes to Batman how we're lovers. How dare you say I'm not your best friend? If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here. Yeah. If I was good, you would be nothing. I'm abbreviating, but how they actually wrote it was amazing. How Batman at the end confronts Harley about it was amazing.
That was awesome.
How Harley manipulates Batman when he meets up with her and he's like, yo, I need you to talk to him and stop all this. And then he freaks out she talked to him in such a way that he loses complete control and hammers the wall or whatever. And you could tell she's there. You could see there's a smirk on her face because he's doing exactly what she wants.
And that's the thing. That was one of my favorite parts of it. The fact that Batman, who is depicted as often being the smartest person in the DC universe, regularly, one or two, him and Lex.
Yeah,
it's always that toss up. Other than Metron,
he's always got that composure. And, very stoic. And when I started this out, I said he's kind of depicted as an angsty teenager here.
Well, no,
we see a different. And I mean, angsty teenager is kind of putting a general blanket over it. I think, kind of diminishing just exactly how he's acting. But I think he's very unhinged.
Yeah,
is another word.
I think it's more. I think I'd go with more unhinged. I'd go more with a man who's at the end of his rope because he's tired. He's sick and tired. Imagine an older Batman who finally the concept of people always getting out of jail free cards because he's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that is what's starting to piss him off. He's like, God damn it! I just want one of you to go and stay in the prison because you deserve to be in prison.
Yes, and just don't make me have to kill you. Type
exactly, because I don't want to kill you, but now you're making me want to. Right? Exactly.
His conflicts, and that's why when everybody, so you know what, we're gonna jump into his relationship with Barbara Gordon and
I just want to say one last thing because this is also just one because I really love all the references in here, and it's one of my favorite ones because this is another subtle one. So my favorite episode of Batman the Animated Series, like I said, was Almost Got Him. One of the second ones would be the ones where Batman's on trial. But one of the favorite things about the animated series is it really is where Harley Quinn was created, right? It's where she was born. So I think that's why there's a lot more references to it in this. But there's one specifically when she's talking to Batman on that roof to help manipulate him. She also explains to him, I know you're Bruce Wayne. Because she's at a point, she's like, oh, I remember that time you bought me that dress, and it was really nice of you. Which is a reference to, I'm not sure if it's Harley's Day Off or Harley Quinnade, but there's an episode in Batman Animated Series where she's taken out of prison, she served her time, and she's trying to live the life of a normal human being. The only thing that she really screws up is she takes her hyenas for a walk, which obviously that's a lot of negative attention.
Yeah.
But she goes to the store, she doesn't have enough money. Bruce Wayne, she buys a dress. When she tries to take away the dress, there's still the metal detector on, and everyone's like, oh, I just need to take this off, and she thinks that they're taking it away from her.
Yeah.
So she ends up having, she reverts back to being a criminal. But at the end, Batman gives her the dress, or Bruce Wayne buys her the dress. And she's like, I really like that time you bought me. I was like, just from every part of the discussion. You're like, you're manipulating him since day one. You have him around your freaking pinky.
She's always, she's insane. She's probably the most hyper sane of everybody.
Yeah, at least in this arc.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I honestly find it very interesting that this is the take they took. Yeah. Especially with the fact that the Joker is such an iconic Batman villain. And that even in this
so weak.
Yeah, and even in this story, you finally get the iconic Joker, but he's composed. He's the sane one. Batman's the angsty teen. He's the one that's trying to make the world better. Batman's the one that's been destroying things. He's the one that's showing you corruption. Batman's been paying off things from behind the scenes. And you're like, whoa, this is pretty intense. But then at the end, you're just like, but it wasn't even you. It was her. You weren't even the one showing us all this. And that's why I think, Murphy did an excellent job. He did an excellent job with this story.
Very well written.
Yeah.
This is probably one of my the Batman reads I've had in a while. I think maybe Hush was probably the last.
Oh,
Batman
yeah, I love Hush. My God, that's a great
that I
one.
liked.
Yeah,
this one is definitely up there with it in my opinion.
Man, we should do Hush.
I'm down.
Let's go into the relationship between the Bat people.
Yeah,
real quick.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about Dick Grayson's sort of interactions and overall feelings about Batman in this, and also how Barbara, aka Batgirl, factors in?
Well, you guys had to remind me because I read this so long ago that I did reread parts of it recently, but I didn't read it from beginning to end. But I forgot that. Yeah, he's the second one in this world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which was
the only odd thing about this world.
Yeah,
but it had purpose though. It had purpose.
I know. I just found it an interesting take because I didn't. Dick Grayson is the second. Jason Todd's the first. Dick Grayson's, I guess, jealous. I don't know if jealous is the word, but he always feels like he's in the shadows. He's always in the. He's trying to fill the shoes of someone that, for some reason, I guess, and it would make sense that this version of Batman appreciated someone like Jason Todd more. Someone who's a little more aggressive. Because this Batman's aggressive.
I didn't necessarily read it that way. I read it more as Batman failed. He knew he still needed a partner. And he did it a little bit begrudgingly, taking on another one. Maybe he wasn't ready to have another Robin.
Well, I mean, that's the original story.
And
what them flipped, which is interesting, yeah.
But for me, what I thought was more driving Dick's behavior is I feel... And again, if we're just going to reference to references, because this, like I said, this book is riddled with references, I feel it's at that point, like I feel like where it stands, it feels like this is shortly after Dick became Nightwing, you know what I mean? Because whether or not you want to take it the comic book one or the Batman animated series one, because they're both essentially the exact same, he basically gets fed up of how Batman's running things. And that's what's happening in this one, right?
Yeah.
Batman, like as we said, he's becoming more unhinged, he's becoming less... hero, more vigilante, and he's getting tired of doing that, right? And he's obviously still upset that Batman's like that, and it's clearly getting worse. Whereas Barbara, she's like, he's getting worse, yes, but he's getting worse because everything's not working out for him. Guys keep going out, and then when you eventually find out that Alfred's almost dying, and that's like one of the saddest things.
I think,
that's a key
huge
point
key.
Like that's why Batman is for sure behaving the way he is, because he's like, my Robin is dead, which eventually you find out that he actually fucks off, which I was like, wow, that makes actually a lot of sense. But then you have your Robin
we'll touch on that right after.
Yeah, then you have Robin, his second Robin, who's leaving him, and then after all this stuff is said and done, Joker keeps getting out, and then all this in the background, the guy who's essentially my second father, if anything, my real father now, because he's been more my father than my actual father. Not in that Thomas Wayne didn't have an influence on him, but like you're not there.
He died when he was 8.
Yeah. So my dad is dying, and no one knows about it. I'm not able to, because the problem with Batman, and it's always been one of his problems, he keeps things to the chest too much. He doesn't share, and he takes so much of the weight of the world and he puts it on his shoulders because he knows he could stand tall regardless how much weight is on his shoulders. But
which has sort of always been my issue with Batman, is that he's not real in that way.
But that's because he's a single child.
I know if I've gone through a bunch of traumatic events and I just keep keeping those things inwards, it's gonna come outwards, right?
Yeah,
But for him, they always, he just always seems too composed, and it's like sometimes you do want to break into personality.
But you know what? I wonder, because I think I understand one of the angles they're taking with it is he's composed, But he also beats up people dressed as a bat in the streets.
Well, it's because
that's the other angle, right? Like Toby, if as much as you're describing your situation, you went through a lot of traumas. If you all of a sudden started wearing a suit and beating up people in the street, we'd all be
probably time to lock me up.
Yeah, we'd all be like, Toby's always so composed. Yeah, because he beats people up dressed as a bat at night.
That's amazing.
So that's that flip side, right? There's always that angle with Batman that at the end of the day, as intelligent and as wonderful and as great as all the things that he's trying to do, the Wayne Foundation, running a company, being Batman, Batman aside, all those things he's doing, at the end of the day, he goes home, he slips on those slippers. He sits down for maybe 10 minutes.
No, like 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Then he immediately jumps up, goes to the piano, ding, 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 and then goes into a bookcase.
Flips the head there.
Yeah, slides down into a cave and
so
wears
funny.
a suit and dresses as a bat, goes and beats up criminals.
But Batman's
they
never
actually make a little joke about the secret passageways.
Yeah.
But Batman's
Like
the thing.
sorry,
go on,
any
Tobes.
building without secret passageways?
Yeah.
That's one thing that was not believable for me, though, in the story. One thing that I did not like, and I was like, this is bullshit, this would never happen. How does he not know of a room in his house? How are you going to say, oh, there's this one space in my house that is about the size of a room, but I'm just going to assume it's full of cement and that there's not a room in there.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that was not believable about the Wayne.
Yeah,
and mind you, the Wayne Manor is big, but like he's also lived in it his entire life.
What was in that room? That was
his dad's like secret stuff. And mind you, it is a small room, but still. But the point I was going to make is before that was the one thing about Batman is he always sees things black and white, and I don't think he's ever really to Toby's point where he's acting like an angsty teenager. I always felt that Batman, although yes, you're mature, you know life's problems, you know how the world works and all that stuff, but you're able to see black and white, you're able to see what is right and what is wrong, but you have no balance of emotion in you. Hence why you can never love, hence why you always need he always has to have people around him. Yeah. As much as he's alone and he has that alone time, he'll eventually find someone to be with him. It's almost to be like I'm doing the right thing, right? Like I'm having a Robin. My Robin's to keep me in check to make sure I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So,
was this the first time that we've gotten an answer to why Jason Todd did what he did? In terms of not is this the first time that we had the Joker actually tell Batman what happened to Jason Todd? Is my first part.
Well, I mean, in the original Jason Todd, it's very blatant. He calls Batman up on the phone. He's like, I'm beating him up with a crowbar. If you don't get here in 5 minutes, you're just going to die.
Right.
That's how it happens in this. But
like, if he's still alive or dead, right? We get an answer here in this one.
Yeah, you get an answer in this one. Yes, you get it at the 5th or 6th.
Yeah, because
seventh issue.
Because it's the one when they're in the car and they're talking about it.
And in the car with Jack Napier.
Yeah,
but he's alive. No, isn't that?
He's alive. He basically tells him.
So Joker tells Batman. Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, I wish I never met Bruce Wayne. Which again, that's a really good point because one thing that's always been in the lore of Batman is does Joker know who Batman is and does he give a fuck? And this is a perfect example of he knows who Batman is and he does not.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't
and just to recap, because it might sound confusing, Jack Napier's in the Batmobile with Batman. Batman says, hey, they're on this mission, and Batman says, I'm going to do this thing, but I need you to tell me right now what happened to Jason Todd. Is he still dead or is he alive? And
because
Jack pretty much says, well, Joker's never revealed this for me. He's always kept this from me. And then Batman's like, no, you know it. Anyway, convinces him, and he finds a way to find out what happened. And in this sort of memory, Jason Todd says, I wish I never met Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Meaning that Joker left him alive.
Yeah.
But he knew that Jason Todd would never go back to Batman and how much that would rip Batman apart in the whole morning. So this was also like a whole ploy by the Joker to just watch Batman fall apart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
what's better than killing someone but never letting them find the body?
But
right?
also, it's his jealousy. He didn't like the fact that someone else was closer, so he put a wedge between them. And something that is a constant theme. The Joker's affection for Batman is very important in understanding every decision he makes.
And the concept that I really like, and it's what Toby was trickling to, is that I really like how it shows how sadistic the Joker is. He's like, oh, I just want the game to go on longer. If you don't know that he's alive, that means the game gets to be played longer, and I want to play the game. Let's play the game, Bruce. Let's play the game.
Jake, the original Jigsaw.
You know? But I thought that was really cool. I have a question for you guys, because I feel like we've wrapped up a good amount of the...
we didn't even talk about Victor, though. This whole...
I was just talking about the Bat family. We did pretty good.
Oh, okay.
And it was very sentimental. They got to read the note together.
Oh,
just gonna do that. That was really cute.
Yes.
But
the note left to them by Alfred after Alfred passed.
Yeah.
Man, that's one thing that I am a little shook about. The idea that Alfred's gone.
Yeah, but
that's... So you know what? It was sort of a nice, heroic...
I know.
Because Alfred got to do something that he's always done for Batman from day one, which is save his life.
Yeah.
But this time, there was an ultimate sacrifice. In order to save Batman, I have to die. And Alfred, obviously...
But
did so.
Just to go on a small mini tangent for 2 seconds, what did you guys think about the art?
Oh, I like the art.
I thought it was really great.
It's the art by Mark. Am I looking at the name right?
It reminds me of the Mark Millar series.
Yeah,
not Mark Millar. Sorry, Frank Miller series.
I think it was Frank
in terms of art.
Sean Murphy with Matt Hollingsworth.
I felt like it was what you were saying. The what's his name? Say the
Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller.
Frank Miller's. I think it was Frank Miller's merged with the Batman animated series a little bit.
Yeah,
it was like oh, we got to do that, but we don't want to rip it off. Okay, so we'll make it a little bit more this and a little bit more that, and it just came like a merge of the two. I only say because I thought it was really well done.
And it was very dark and shadowy when it came to Batman.
Yeah,
and then when it was like the Joker, Jack Napier scenes, there was some light. It was kind of weird. Yeah, Batman was literally the bad guy this whole time.
That's what I was alluding to.
In the light, it was kind of also reminiscent of Two-Face.
Yeah,
in terms of the whole political aspect of it, where this time Jack is sort of taking on that attorney, that district attorney role, almost like that face of the city role. A little bit the same way. Not Two-Face, but what's his original name? It's evading me right now.
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent's sort of role in the city of Gotham here.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this a lot. It was a fun read. It was a speedy read because it was enjoyable.
Yeah. And it wasn't originally supposed to be 8 issues.
Oh no?
No, from what I understand, it was meant to be shorter, and then they allowed them to expand it.
I thought the alternate covers were amazing.
Yeah.
Like at the end of this, I actually, when I was done reading it all, I was like, I basically want to buy all 8 issues and get all the covers of the ones I want and put it on my wall because it's so nice. Some of the covers, like there's one specifically where like Joker and Harley, they're like he's walking away with her in her arms, and then in the background you see Napier. I think it's actually the last issue. Napier and Harley Quinzel, and she's like holding him because Napier's bleeding out.
Oh, yes.
And it's the one of the last episodes, the last issues, because that's when he finally turns back. Oh, and it's really nice that they got married at the end. I thought that was kind of cute.
Oh yeah,
I was like, "Aw!" And then he's
they didn't get married though.
Well, I mean, he did, but I mean, they didn't get to enjoy it.
He never said "I do." If you notice,
no, he does. He says "I do," and he's ha 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 because he changes the second he says "I do."
Really?
Go back.
Hold on.
But
Pepsi challenge.
Right while you guys are discussing that, one of the things that I also liked about this story is that they had Harley, Dr. Quinzel, from the beginning. They showed us that she was the one planning everything, but you don't realize it because you don't know it's her.
Yeah.
So if you read that first issue, the person who filmed what Batman was doing was her. But one of the things I find interesting is why was she always able to get into such tight, easy, like Batman chasing the Joker into a factory where, the cops show up and everything. How did Dr. Quinzel get in there to
She knew where they were going to be.
Exactly. That's like everything was so planned out in advance that it's when you look back, like rereading the comic, when you read it the first time and you don't know, and then you find out and you reread it the second time. And I remember when I read it the first time and I got to issue 8 and I finished it, I went back to issue 1 and I reread issue 1 and I was like, oh my God, she's there. Like, that's her. You realize at that moment that that's her, but when you're reading it, you didn't. And it's just these little hints that I always find so interesting where and the whole point is, if you are a Batman, you might have known. Like, if you are a detective, you might have seen, like, oh, wait, who's the person filming this? Wait, why does that... How did they get that information? Why would
But
someone...
that's the thing, right? That's why at the end, when everything is settled down and he's finally come to accept his losses, he's able to actually think and see clearly again. That's why he's the one who reveals to us the main motivation behind everything that went down.
Do you...
with Harley being the mastermind behind everything.
But one thing, Dr. Quinzel couldn't have known Alfred was dying, right?
But was that really a stake in any of her plans?
Well, I mean, Batman being unbalanced was affected by that. A Batman who isn't losing his father, do you think she would have been able to play him this well?
I think that
that's what the question essentially I'm trying to ask.
I think if we're talking about her being hyper sane, she probably calculated things. What if I see Batman on a good day? What if I see him on his worst day? And she probably just had like
plans.
With someone that crazy, you have like all those plans, and you're just like, it's imagine you have like a cabinet, and you're like, I'm in this situation, so I'm going to take out this folder. Now I'm in this situation, so I'm going to take out this folder, and it goes on like that.
It's just because when I was reading it and I got to the end, one of my thoughts was the only reason she got the one up on him is because he wasn't focused.
Yeah, but she could have easily made him unfocused if she wanted to. That's something you got proven along the way, just by their conversation with each other.
Well, here, that's what I'm saying. Could she get the one up on him if he's 100% focused? The Batman we've always known doesn't get taken advantage of that easily. So why is it that, like, with him breaking, essentially, losing his father figure, like you were saying before, was this the perfect opportunity? Did she see signs that his aggression escalated and she knew, okay, something's wrong, now's the time to do it?
You saw that by the first issue, because even in the first issue, they're saying, hey, he's acting extreme already. Yeah. So regardless of knowing what is causing it, she knows that he's unbalanced, and now from there on, I know, like, it's like, imagine you're tottering on a line, and you're falling, and she's waiting, like, okay, well, now I'm going to push.
Okay.
That's how I saw that.
With all that said, is it fair to say that Harley created the Joker?
Oh, interesting. Who created this Joker?
Created the original or this one?
Well, hold on. Maybe that's... One second. So there's a line in the last issue where she says, if the city was going to be forever condemned, if the city was going to forever condemn the Joker, they deserve to know Jack Napier. And I was betting that Jack had a lot to show us, a lot to show you, and I was right. This is her talking to Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman says in response to that, before Napier reverted back to the Joker, he said something about his old cell, about discovering the Joker in that cell. What did he mean? And she says, I don't know, to which he responds, do you really think Napier is gone? And she smirks and walks away. So sounds like she's always been his psychologist from day one. The moment he had a mental break from whenever the day one or day zero is, she is the one who brought out the Joker side of him, made him accept that it's a part of him.
You know,
and she ended up falling in love with her own creation.
Well, first of all, she meets the Joker. Let's put it this way: she can't have originally created the Joker because he's the Joker when she meets him, right? Like he's a little insane.
He's already broken.
She
right?
is the one who allows the Joker to live.
Exactly. And so in another way, it was sort of a rebirth. It was sort of her own creation. Yeah. She saw what he was and she made him something else.
Because this answers the question, what if a psychologist got Stockholm Syndrome?
Exactly.
That's what this is. And being the psychologist that she is, she knows how to manipulate everything. And to be honest, the one thing that I find it really weird,
it's sort of a reverse Stockholm Syndrome, actually, too. Because
actually, it's a double Stockholm Syndrome.
He's super attached to her just as much as she is.
But it's weird. I don't know. I know this is going to sound crazy, but their love in this book, I really like it. I loved how they showed their relationship. I honestly,
but you like their relationship because he's Jack and not Joker, though.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, but example, they have that one scene where they show them going on the night on the town. I shit you not, that warmed my heart a little bit. I was like, aw, so cute that they had this moment.
They could have been a power couple. They had their moment to be that power couple, but obviously things fell apart for them. And somehow she still makes out good in all this. You know, she's always set up for success.
I wonder if part of her plan was, if it all fails, I still get to A, marry him, and B, I get to live my life.
She absolutely gets to do all that.
Yeah, because she's also she gets to essentially take over. It's the Narrows, right, where Duke is.
Yep.
She
essentially gets to take. Or sorry, no, it's called Backport. Yeah,
I love Duke in this one.
Or sorry, as someone puts it in a racist way, Blackport. Was that the Penguin?
No, that was one of the snotty one percenters when Bruce Wayne actually finds out that the rich are profiting off, which I thought that's one thing I thought was really cool, finding out that the rich was making money off of it by flipping the condemned buildings, and them having the $3 million Batman fund, which was basically funded by Bruce Wayne because he knows that he's destroying everything. That's a new level of crazy.
$3 billion.
But think about it. That's a new level of crazy. You know what? I'm going to destroy. I'll give you back your money, but I'm going to destroy everything while I make sure that this city stays up. That's kind of fucked up. I'm literally going to destroy the city so you could rebuild it. That's basically what's happening.
That aspect of Batman is so weird because it essentially makes it seem like Gotham is a plaything to him.
It's a castles in the sand.
There are people in these buildings, and
people are dying.
They actually pointed out in this that people are getting hurt, and Batman is aware of this. This is something that we always point out whenever we watch superhero movies, that Superman just got punched through this whole building. Were there people in this building? But we're never shown that people are actually dying. The collateral damage, the cleanup, it must be a bloody mess after Superman's fought some crazy alien villain, or after Batman's gone through exploding building and fire.
Yeah, because they don't evacuate those buildings fast enough. Unless you have teleportation technology. How are you getting these people out every time Superman throws a body?
Nobody knows. There's no siren when when a tornado's coming, or when a nuclear bomb is coming, warning people hey, you have 30 minutes before this blows up.
It does suck that show got canceled. Remember NBC tried to have a show like that where they were going to have the warning system. Anyways, that's all other thing.
But no, I think so. The only other person we really haven't gone over, and you had mentioned it, Toby, was Mr. Freeze. We really haven't. That's the only I think aspect that we haven't gone through. What are your thoughts?
I mean, that's a quick one. Victor is not as evil as we think. I think he does everything for love. He's a genius, right? Mm-hmm. Intelligent, genius, inventor who's in love with someone and is heartbroken about the potential loss of his partner, and he's doing everything he can to try and keep this person alive. And I get it. I mean, every aspect of this story is about love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether it's Harley and the Joker, whether it's Batman and Alfred and the city. Well, the city's not as much
or
love.
The kids.
Oh, the kids, yeah. I was trying to say he loves the city, but he doesn't if he keeps destroying it. And then,
Batman's fun, though, bro.
Yeah. And then Victor and Nora. The idea is just, love can make you do crazy things. I mean, if anything, that my elevator pitch would probably be, hell hath no fury like a villain scorned. Love can make you do crazy things. Because that's an extension.
And love made Batman do some crazy things in this. Yes. One of them being also, the fact that he loves Alfred so much that he actually went to Victor Freeze as Bruce Wayne to say, hey, I need you to help my butler. He's dying. Or whatever. However he phrased that. I use the word butler, but I'm sure he said something else.
Yeah.
And then obviously Victor that was his clue to go, He was able to put together through the series of events that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But knowing that, it's also shown that he's a good guy in the sense that he's never going to reveal it. He even says it because he has such respect for Thomas Wayne, who what did Thomas Wayne do for his family again when he was younger? For Victor Freeze?
Well, he was funding
the thing. He was funding the good stuff because Victor Freeze was creating his freeze tech, and his dad wanted to use it for the Nazi war, and then Thomas Wayne was like, no, this could be medically applied, and that's good. Which,
yes, exactly.
I want to throw that out there. I thought this was a good origin story for Victor. This origin version story of Victor Freeze, I really like.
Yeah.
It's very much the opposite of what happened in the New 52, which I think I was saying this off recordings before. In the New 52, they depicted Victor Freeze as someone being crazy who killed his mom and who was actually insane, and Nora was just a patient, and then he eventually said that he was his wife and that she was just not, and when she unfreezes she's going to go crazy because she doesn't know who the fuck you are. I hated that in the New 52 stuff that they did.
I mean, they're always rewriting origin stories.
Yeah, but it was bad.
It's kind of
I get what David's saying though. This one is more of a human story.
Oh yeah,
because Freeze was always a situation. Sorry to cut you guys off. I just want to finish this point. Freeze was always one of those situations where it's like, this is a human who's trying to do something good, but has lost he knows the means, but he doesn't have the resources, and the only way he could get those resources is by doing something bad.
Yeah,
that's always been the cliffhanger with Mr. Freeze, and it's always why you kind of sided with Mr. Freeze to a certain.
Well,
you're always
I never sided.
No,
with
but
Mr.
I'm not
Freeze.
saying sided in the sense that you wanted him to win, but you're like, at least I get it.
You empathized.
Yeah, sorry, empathize.
Yeah,
you get it.
Because you understood his motivation, and his motivation, though selfish, wasn't evil.
Yeah. Whereas if they did it the other way, you're like, well, this guy's just a fucking loony.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
At the end of the day, they're all a little loony.
Batman's
everyone
Gordon's
in Gotham
everyone's a little crazy.
Gotham City's water makes people crazy.
When people walk in and decide to
that.
stay at Gotham, that's when you know they're crazy. Because I'm sorry, if Gotham was a place,
New York,
but if you walk there, it's like, oh, this is nice. I'm gonna leave now, though. Even New York.
That's why you don't stay in New York. You go to visit, and then you gotta dodge, man. That's what you do.
Right, well, I think that's
so true. When I was in New York recently, I was on the 21st floor of the Empire State Building, and there's like a patio.
Yeah,
and it was like nighttime, and I took a picture, and I was like, man, this is literally Gotham at night.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Well, I like to see that picture actually.
But that's the idea, right? Gotham. From what I understand, Gotham and Metropolis are New York City in the day and New York City at night.
Yeah,
that was always the idea. Yeah. Even though Metropolis is originally based off of Toronto, but still.
So do we have anything else to wrap up for this? I feel like we covered almost all angles. Unless there's any other things you want to say.
Didn't cover like the police department's motivations in this is not thing we don't need to touch on that. But we don't even need to touch on the villains because they were actually just tools in this.
But that's the thing that sucks. You do get to see all the villains, like Dave was saying earlier. You really get to see them, the animated versions, kind of blended with a different art style. So you got to see them. It's super cool. It's just the fact that, and I mean, it's smart how they did it. It's the same way that Hawkeye in the Avengers got kind of like taken over, and then you could just excuse everything that he does and he's off to the side. In this one, they're just like, there's too many villains for us to try and add them all, but one way we could do it is if they're all under control by one person. So that's what they did.
But
and
the only issue I had with it is it was a mind control scenario without the Gorilla Grodd intelligence.
I mean, that's good though.
Yeah, it's okay though.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Like I said, they were just tools, right? But there wasn't a real Gorilla Grodd in the situation controlling things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just someone is just using the villains. That's it. There was no like mastermind.
Okay, yeah.
But in regards to the GCPD, I thought Gordon was actually a mirror of Batman in this. He was also a man at the end of his rope. I think that's the only other thing. Oh, one thing I didn't like, Gordon, because he was at the end of his rope too. He's like, well, you know what? I'm tired of babysitting you. I'm tired of having to make up excuses for you. Yeah. This GTO is a good idea. Yeah. I don't care if it's the Joker who's doing
it.
What
does the GTO stand for?
Gotham Task Force or something like that. We'll have to. But the only thing I thought was a little weird at the end, and when I got to the end, it made sense. But as a Batman fan, it still didn't make sense. I did not like that he took off he's like, I'm going to tell everyone that I'm Bruce Wayne. Telling just Gordon, I could, if he said, I'm going to tell you so that you understand where I'm coming from, cool, but I didn't like that. That's the only thing I didn't.
He went full Iron Man with that reveal. Yeah. Well, he didn't reveal yet.
Yeah,
but he's going to, right?
We're meant to say that, the fact that he took his cowl off in front of Commissioner Gordon means that, okay, he's going to.
Yeah, because he says, no, I need to tell them who Batman is. It's the only way anyone will ever truly trust me. But most importantly, it's the only way you'll ever trust me. And I get why he's doing it. Because remember, this is also a universe where he's been destroying the city, but funding to rebuild the city. Mm-hmm. And now people have lost trust in Batman. And then they're wondering, and then, I mean, if anything, I'm not really sure why this is a good idea, because people are going to lose trust in Bruce Wayne too, because when they find out that Batman has been the one and as Bruce Wayne funding the destruction, like destroying the city, and then leaving a fund to rebuild what they destroy.
Legoland.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't make me trust you more. It would just remind me you are a sociopath
with money.
And Jack Napier was right. You are the true villain of the city.
You're a rich boy. You're a rich toddler playing with the city with Lego. You know,
you're a 1%er. Anyways,
GTO was actually created by Jack Napier in this.
Yeah.
It's the Gotham Terrorist Oppression.
There we go.
And the GTO is a super cop program where it pairs a hero or a vigilante with a police officer and, leads to less collateral damage, keeps their identity secret. They get to work with the GCPD and they get their own Batmobile.
Yeah. They just have to keep a camera on them so that you don't get to
Body
reveal
cams.
who you are, but you have to do that so that people could see what you did.
Hey man, body cams. That's a commentary right there on the world we're in.
Which is probably, honestly, I would love to see that as a series.
That'd be interesting.
Kind of like a buddy cop with, a normal regular GCP guy with, I don't know, Nightwing or someone on his team.
Didn't Will Smith do that bad zombie or whatever?
Don't trash that.
I haven't seen it yet. That's reviews that I heard. I'm not seeing it myself.
I know, and that's what I hate about critics. And anyway,
that's what they're there for, man. Controversy.
That. I know.
So I think that's a good recap.
I think that's pretty much wraps up a lot of the story here.
Yep, pretty much. That's the whole story.
You guys want to add before we get into our next segment?
No, I'm good. I got everything off my chest.
So our next segment is something we like to call BFW. Boom. Best, favorite, worst. And today we're going to be going with I'm sure this topic is discussed quite heavily in all circles.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about it yet here, so we're going to actually start our first issue of That's Canon with best, favorite, worst superpower. Guys, what's the worst superpower out there?
Are we going to really do this the proper way this time? Or are we going to do like we all say the same one now? Like we all say
absolutely.
What our worst
We're all going to say our best. We're going to say our favorite. We're all going to say our worst.
So just give me 2 seconds. I forgot to read this, so I'm going to think about it for a minute.
I already have mine.
We're actually going to pause. Like if we could pause the thing.
Okay, let's start. Do you want to start with the worst, or you want to start with the best? Actually,
okay.
Sorry. What was the question?
You want to start with the worst, or you want to start with the best?
Dude, I have my 3. I could do my 3 right now. If you guys want me to go there, because I got it. I got it.
Let's do our worst.
Because if he's thinking about it, my worst, and this is, I feel, going to start a conversation in itself. I think is healing. I think Wolverine's healing factor is probably the worst. He is. Yes. Don't get me wrong. Wolverine is an amazing character, and I'm not saying that it's the worst in the sense that, I mean, there are other worse powers, the one with like the one with the dot guy, like you talked about, or electricity and water, any power where you're just easily defeated. Those are some of the worst. But when I'm thinking like actual life altering best, favorite, worst, I think Wolverine's healing factor or Deadpool's healing factor is probably one of the worst. In Deadpool's case, it's probably not that bad because it's actually curing his cancer on a regular basis. So, he's doing that on the side.
And Wolverine's is more of a cheat. It's kind of like...
But it's not just that.
That's what makes him a terrible tactician and a fighter, because he can just go berserker and fight however, take damage. He's just an unstoppable force. But because he knows he can rely on his healing factor.
But for me, the reason I think it's worse is the actual loneliness it causes, because the whole idea of Wolverine, and I guess technically Superman to some extent, anyone who has this kind of healing factor or can regenerate easily has this longevity that none of the other people around them will have, and they will always outlive everyone, and they will constantly watch the people around them die. That's why I think it's the worst. Because if you're Wolverine and you think back to all, like, legit think of Wolverine's entire timeline, all the people he's lost, all the pain he's gone through, everything that supposedly makes him stronger. No, man, that shit sucks. Think about that. True. Like, if you could think about how you as a person, you don't have your memories. You finally get them back at one point, and then you realize, I've been alive for like 200 years, and this is my life. I'm this wild animal that they throw at fights because I regenerate, and I don't have
That's a lifestyle choice, though, more.
Take away
that. It still sucks, because even if he decided to just be a man who lived his life, you can't have partners because you're just going to grow old and watch them die. But you spend your whole life doing that.
No, but the thing is, I agree when you go through your first, like, if you go through your first life cycle, so let's say you go through your first 50 years,
he doesn't have a first life cycle.
No, but I'm saying
he does not die.
No, but I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying the comparative, right? If you're living forever, right? Because that's the whole concept. If you heal, you're gonna. Once you go through the first life cycle, so let's say 70 years, where you go through that, and the person fades away, maybe even the second time.
Yeah.
After a while, you'll adapt to that concept. You'll.
Do you?
Yeah, because you'll.
How do you know that? I've never done it. You've never done it.
I would assume so.
That's the thing. I'm not assuming. The only thing I know is that he's a person who's lived for X hundreds of years. He didn't have his memories, which actually helped him at one point, because he could, as much as he wanted to have his memories, he lived every day not knowing all the loss he had. Then when he does get the memories back, he lives every day realizing he doesn't have anyone in his life anymore. And all the people.
Can I put a little like sort of plot hole in this whole Wolverine healing factor thing?
The regeneration?
His regeneration and healing factor can regenerate anything, but his memories?
That was always a weird thing.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
The things
it should be able to regenerate everything.
The part of the brain, yeah.
But
I know, that was never well explained.
But the things, I find that you're arguing more what's happened in Wolverine's life. Because, like, let's assume...
Well, yeah, because that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're saying because you're saying a person who missed a memory, this and that. But if you just had a regular life...
Still sucks. In no scenario is it, I regenerate. I live for X... And the reason I said it, Wolverine, is because Wolverine is the best example. But Superman is equally bad. You live an entire life watching everyone around you grow old and die, and there is nothing you can do, even though you dedicate your life to saving lives.
But that's just adaptation.
Me seems like, sorry?
I feel like that's adaptation.
That's a deep torture.
Thank you.
Itself.
That's, to me, is what it is.
You always miss people. But you always miss people. Even living a regular life, there's friends that I met at one point in time, or there's people that, unfortunately, I know passed away that I loved, young and old. I will always miss them, but just because that's just an aspect of life.
No, it's not. It's different. The aspect of life you're referring to is natural human growth. The aspect of this is I don't die. I live my entire life watching everyone fall away. I don't ever get the sweet release of death myself, so I don't have to just live with that. I have to constantly watch it over and over. I build these emotional connections to people just so that I lose them over and over. You live your entire life.
It's kind of like you ever see that they always touch on that in vampire movies where after like two, 3 centuries, they're just like disconnected. Now they're like, nothing matters. Like, nothing matters.
And you become an empty, hollow version of yourself because you have to disconnect yourself from everything. So then your options are A, you hopefully have what Wolverine has where you forget most of your life, or B, like a vampire, you just end up giving up on everything and you become a hollow shell of a person, in which case you usually just start to kill people because nothing matters.
Nothing matters anymore,
Or C,
it would be hard to find purpose.
Yeah. Or C,
after living
you're
for
like
that long.
Superman, who's this beacon of hope, who spends his entire life saving people, but one day he's going to watch Lois die. She's going to die in front of him.
As much as we, like, people can be scared of death, there's something about having death hanging over us that makes life sweeter. You know what I mean? There's, like, that aspect of it.
Like, I'm not saying I want to die tomorrow, but I also would not want to regenerate and live forever. Because that, to me, just sounds like...
That's why you try to do everything you can while you're still alive.
Exactly. It gives you a purpose.
If you knew you could never die, there's no purpose.
But I feel like it gives you a chance to live every aspect, like... I don't know. If it was me,
how many aspects of life can you live?
No, it gives you a chance to live every. Like, it gives you a chance to do everything. I don't.
That's why,
as a person of discovery, I would like that. I would like to learn every.
That's why I wish you guys would let me give my 3, because my 3 actually apply to this. But
okay. Anyways, so I'm gonna give my worst. Sure. Now, my worst is Gold Balls' power.
Okay, Project Balls.
Mind you, though, I get to play basketball whenever I want.
Project Gold Balls.
So that's all I'm gonna say. We all know who that is, right? I don't have to explain it.
I'm gonna stick with the lame in this because it's lame. It's not necessarily the worst, but it's super lame and it's terrible. Squirrel Girl, controlling squirrels.
Oh yeah,
that was my second.
That's terrible. And in the same line, I'm gonna group. Aquaman in this with the whole talking to face.
So essentially, you're saying animal control.
Yeah, you're talking
like any mental.
Well, no, there's a difference because are you saying animal control or being able to speak? Because animal control would be cool, but just speaking to them is lame.
Well, just lame, because But you're not just saying speaking to them. You're saying
control.
I'm saying Squirrel Girl in terms of controlling them. It's just a lame thing.
Yeah, because it's only squirrels, right? That she can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that because Aquaman's kind of cool in the sense like. Mind you, not cool on land, but like, controlling a whale probably is fun.
That's funny.
So best?
My best?
Let's go with best.
I'm simply put, are we allowed to do power sets? Because if it's power sets, it's Superman.
Just best power.
Yeah.
Being a Kryptonian?
For me,
that's not a power.
Yeah. For me, best is time control.
Yeah.
Which leads to what you were saying about the experience.
That's a cop out to living forever.
Not.
Unless you're saying you could die if you could pause time.
Die.
But can you die during because I've always assumed when it comes to time travel, I've always assumed this. If the person actually stops time, he's stopping his own aging.
No, I was never under that impression.
Because example, when you see everyone time travel, they don't get old, but if you go into let's say Dragon Ball Z where they go into that sphere thing, they show that they age.
Yeah.
But it seems that when people time travel and do everything else, they seem they'll age if they're
I'm not talking about time travel. I myself have the ability to travel through time. I'm not going into something. I myself, as a power, can manipulate time.
That's pretty badass.
To me, that is the best power.
I agree.
Because that's a good one.
If I'm not allowed to choose Superman, then yeah, that's it.
But the reason I said that is because, and it was great that you made that point. That's why I was like, oh my God, let me just say it now. Because the point you were making about experiencing everything, with time travel, I can actually do that.
No, because then you'll grow old and die and not be able to do everything. Based off of what you're saying.
I have X amount of time to go into the future and experience that, go into the past. I get to pick and pinpoint the moments that I know are important. And because I'm a time traveler, or because I can control time, so I can pause time, research what the best points in history have been, time travel to those moments, and explore and enjoy those moments.
No, but I was talking about personal discovery though. When I was saying
that's tough.
Oh, that's the thing. I'm giving up on personal discovery if I'm a time traveler.
Because I would if I was able to live forever, right? Back to the argument.
Yeah.
I would learn probably almost every instrument. If I lived forever, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm changing personalities every 70 years, and I'm an actor now. I'm a this now. I'm a this now. I'll be stupid. I'll be an IT guy for a few years just to be annoyed. I do everything.
Buddy, if you can control time, I do still say that if you control time, you do technically you would age, because it's different. If someone puts you in a time loop, you're not controlling that, so you would age naturally, but then you would revert every day. But if I myself am the one controlling time, I'm the one creating the loop, then I'm still aging. Because I am the one...
You want to be Hero from Heroes.
Not him, but that set.
But that power set.
Yeah.
See, that's... I would...
So, along the same lines of your best, I'm actually going to say that my best is the same in the sense that I would choose invulnerability. I can still die and get old, right, by natural causes, but I would be able to have more courage to go into situations that I probably wouldn't go into.
I'm torn between.
Well, that actually that gives to your point where you're saying that you want to experience and you'd have the courage to try everything and anything. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
but I would still want that sort of sense of purpose.
Yeah,
right? I don't want to lose that by having something that says I can live forever. And it's the same reason why I didn't choose telekinesis or telepathy.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself with those powers.
Oh no, I agree.
Right? There's the human brain is something that you can never really predict, and I can't say that I'm going to have that power and I'm just going to use it for good. I don't think I am that. I'm not Professor X, and Professor X himself is corrupted by his power in many ways. Right?
Actually, I'm gonna revert. I would say my I think the best is actually a lantern ring.
Oh, that's a very good one. Yeah,
because that allows me to do.
That has a superpower. I guess it is.
No, but I'm saying so. Okay, if not a lantern ring. That is I absorb it, and that's my thing. That's no. I'm saying if you're saying the ring is not a power, I'm saying.
But you're saying
take away the power. Just
the ability to
let me do that and do all that, because that allows me to do. It would allow me to have anything at my fingertips. It allowed me to get anywhere I want to go. It would allow me to explore anywhere I want to go.
Yeah.
I would be essentially invulnerable because I'd have that shield on me all the time. Finally be able to do bungee jumping because I don't trust that shit.
Bungee jumping.
And that's it. And now I'll jump in. If we're all done, I'll jump into my favorites. I think my favorite... It's one of the same, because I want to say web slinging, but it's not going to be web slinging. I do teleportation. I've always been someone who's I want to be there, and
there for me.
Just
it's funny. Okay, there. So my favorite is speed for the same reason.
I'm tired because I'm tired. You know when you're walking down the street and you're like, God damn it!
But in my case, if I have super speed, to me that's the similar thing of I want to be somewhere, I can be there. I want to go somewhere else, I can go somewhere else. I want to be invisible. You could pretty much be invisible as a speedster because it's just like it's perception.
You're just vibrating.
Yeah, like people have to be able to see you. Like if I can go into a space, and I mean I don't know that whole Flash episode that takes time in the split second where he goes into the hyper time or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about doing that for the rest of my life, but
a really good episode of that.
Yeah, it is a good episode. But just the idea that with speed, if I learn to control that power and use it better and better, I eventually can tip into the time aspect. But at the same time, I essentially just want the ability to move excessively fast. I think it'd be super cool.
No. I agree. I like that a lot. And I was going to choose either one of those for my favorite as well. But I'm going to, since you guys already went for it, I'm just going to go super strength because who doesn't like watching things get smashed?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. That's why we have rage rooms.
The most frustrating superpower, to end on a little note here, for me is the reality warping one.
Oh, yeah.
It's frustrating because I always hate when a character has a reality warping, that the people whose realities are being warped don't realize the realities are being warped. It's almost like a mind control aspect that comes with it. It's
House of M was great for that, though. Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. I really do feel that that's a big cheat as a power. Like, I'm just going to change this reality around you.
And you're just going to believe that's your reality.
You're going to forget all your memories and just accept this new world you're in. Have fun. So, it's like, fuck off.
Yeah. For me, like, if we're going to do side notes, a double-edged sword to me would be Morph or Mystique's power. Because you'd eventually over time. I always felt, because if someone was like this and they weren't controlled, everyone gets jealous of people, right? I'm assuming that if you were a shapeshifter, you'd eventually be like, you know what, I want that person in life, and if you're crazy enough, you'll kill that motherfucker and just become that person, and then fake your own death and become another person, so on and so forth. I think
that's a dangerous one because shapeshifting and turning into people all the time, you eventually forget who you are.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
You're just living off the lives of other people at that point.
Exactly. All right, guys. Great segment.
That was fun.
Great choices. And to those listening, if you ever have your best, favorite, worst superpowers, reach out to us at Franklin Armstrong or A Strong Franklin on Instagram. And I guess Franklin Armstrong Collective on Facebook.
Yeah, look us up.
All right.
So summary time.
Our summary and our overall thoughts and I guess our ratings. And we're going to rate things out of 5 comics or 5 issues, which ones you guys want to do.
5 comics. I'm good.
All right. Best out of 5 after we discuss our final thoughts on this. Did you guys enjoy this? Did you guys like this? What did you not like before we finish it?
I would suggest this book to any Batman fan. I would borderline suggest this book to any reader, to be quite honest. Yeah. I think it's excessively strong. We'll throw out the bias out there, as if anyone who's a constant listener or anyone who's new, Deadpool and Batman are my cup of tea. There are my biases, so take that into consideration. But this is something that I want it. I'm now going to look for it at any Comic-Con convention to just get it. I want it. Period.
For me, I enjoyed this a lot. In the whole DC universe, Batman is obviously, unfortunately, most people will say he's their favorite, and he's definitely mine. And any good, well-told Batman story I'm always up for. Yeah. And this is up there with, it's not in my top 10. There are a ton of Batman stories out there, like the Halloween or Hush, even the Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, Court of Owls. There are a ton of Batman stories out there that are really well done, well written, and actually, a lot of those are canon. This one definitely sits outside of the lore a little bit, which is what also makes it interesting. And if we're going to talk about rehashing things in terms of movies and TV shows and stuff like that, this is a great example of how you can do that. Yeah, you have an original idea, do something else with it, but still give us that same feeling of the original. And this one does a good job of doing that.
I would say, going in, I was very jaded about anything Batman related. I really was.
Side note, never overdose on something before talking about it.
Well, it's true, right? Too much of anything's a bad thing, and I guess that's the thing. When
I think what helped you here, though, is the fact that we didn't actually start with the Batman side of things. We went into the Harley and Joker start, really, because that's really the most important part of this whole White Knight story, right? Yeah.
I really do believe that if you are a Harley Quinn fan, which a lot of people are, she's a very popular character right now. They're doing the whole movie things, Birds of Prey, and her side story with the Joker and all that stuff. A lot of people are focused on her, but if you want a story that shows what a strong, intelligent Harley looks like, this is the story to read. Yep. Because all the other versions of Harley you're getting are crazy and wild and, just kind of running amok and taking care. And I'm the Joker's sidekick, or I'm not the Joker. Whereas this one is, I'm Dr. Harleen Quinzel. Yes. I'm a highly intelligent person who can manipulate anything I want, even Batman. And that makes for a very, very good read. So
it did, absolutely.
Yeah, as much as I was burnt out on Batman for a minute, talking about this has helped, because I enjoyed it a lot.
And to stack on your Harley...
It's helped you forget about Gotham a bit.
Oh, it has. It really has. It's replaced my last impression of Batman. So that's good.
To stack on your Harley comment, that your like zaniness not being off kilter, that would be the current Harley run. I'm collecting that, and honestly, the only reason why it hasn't been taken off my pull list yet is because I have all the issues. I'm one of those people who are like, can you cancel this series just so I could say I have it all? But I know it's not going to be canceled because she's way too popular. I can't even read it anymore, though. It's one of those things when you're reading, you're like, you're so off. Although recently they had one where she was brought to Apocalypse and she was tried to be made one of the girl, like they have that
that group of
mother
women.
Grandmother or whatever has like
Mother
Mayhem has her little group there, and she's one of them. I'm like, that was cool, but then you came back to Earth and it's just so bad. Anyways, so
all right, out of 5 comics.
I'll let the most undecided person or the most jaded person go first.
3.5. 3.5. And only because I'm taking away points for, how do I explain it? Because some of the things that I love about it are also some of the things that drove me a little crazy. I think one of the things that I really wanted was and there's nothing wrong with it, and I guess I should say 4 on 5. The fact that this is supposed to be the Joker's opportunity to be the White Knight, and it felt like he was just he might as well have been one of the puppets that was being controlled by Clayface, took it away a little bit from me, because I really did want to see what happens if Jack is on the drugs, and is running, and what's his motivation. And don't get me wrong, Harleen Quinzel was amazing. Like I said, I loved what she did. She manipulated everyone, but it just goes one step further in the sense that she was as bad as Neo Joker, who was manipulating everyone with Clayface. There was just a whole bunch of manipulation. It would have been cool to see what White Knight Jack Napier could have been without being manipulated. Yes. Would he still be the hero? Would he still stand up? Could he still have that kind of positive relationship with Harley? Could he have that positive relationship with the city? I'll never know, because he was always just being manipulated, and by the time the manipulation comes to an end, he reverts back to the Joker. So we literally never got to see what Jack Napier was like on his own.
It's interesting, because I almost feel like, that said, I feel like Jack Napier is a creation of Harley's, and maybe there's a third personality in there somewhere.
Yeah, for all we know.
The original is just not there anymore.
Yeah,
but he's there. It's very deep.
4 comics on 5.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my rating is going to be a little lower than you guys, only because there are a ton more Batman stories out there that are just as well, if not better, written. But this one is still up there for me. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 with some recommendations of where to start in addition to this one. Batman Year One, Batman The Long Halloween, Batman The Killing Joke, if you want to go into a Joker story.
Very good.
Batman Hush. And even the Black Mirror series that I read recently is really good. And Batman Earth 1. I would say start with those ones. Okay. In addition to this one. But 3 out of 5 is really good. It's just my rating, because I know there are a ton more out there that I don't want people to just think this is what Batman is. Batman is a lot of things, and the ones I just listed are going to show you all those different sides of Batman.
I would definitely say read Batman Hush. Yeah. That's a great
one. Yeah. And that Long Halloween is amazing.
Yeah.
Long Halloween,
mine's gonna be different than you guys. I'm not doing a comparison of what's out there, because this book never took the stance that this is what Batman is. This is alternate reality, and as an alternate reality, as it stands on its own, I think it hits all the points of what it went for. I think it went on all the points to create a surprise, to create, as you mentioned several times, Toby, a usual suspect scenario. For me, I won't lie, my rating's also biased because of the fact I love Batman, but it's also excessively biased because this book answered a lot of my questions that I've had for Batman, but it's also all the references that they got were a lot of references to Batman things I love. Like, I love all the references. There was times I literally put down the book. I'm like, I cannot believe you did it again. So with that being said, I'm actually putting it on 5 because I could reread this.
That's great.
I reread this right after I read it.
I get why you would do that. The only reason, like I said, I did mine at 3 out of 5. It's because I don't know if it's for a first time reader. And I kind of want the first-time reader to get a better idea of who Batman is before really getting into this Joker side of the story. And that's also why I included the killing joke, so you can see Joker as it's like one of his most insanest.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. Well, I mean, it having an average of 4 is perfectly fine with me as well. You know, like
exactly.
That's what's happening. So, and yeah. So again, maybe I agree with Toby. Maybe it's hard for a first-time reader, but for me, that's just how it is.
Only because it's not canon, a lot of it, right?
Yeah. Well, no, but again, alternate reality. It's just like how when we were talking about Venom on Geektastic, I said this was a great movie. It wasn't a great Venom movie.
Right.
Same thing. Like, this is a great tale. It's not necessarily a great quote unquote Batman story because obviously it's an alternate reality with a bunch of changes.
They take some liberties and change things around.
But with that being said, it's still an amazing.
It's a great story as a standalone.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. All right, guys.
Cool.
That's it. That's all.
Nice seeing you, gents, again.
It was always always fun.
Back from summer camp, you know.
Yeah. So make sure you guys check us out on franklinarmstrong.com. If you guys want to follow us on our social media, that's also all available on franklinarmstrong.com. But on Twitter and Instagram, it's at @AStrongFranklin. On Facebook, we go under facebook.com/FranklinArmstrongDotCom. Also, make sure to check out squared-idea.com for anything Dave related. The guys are working on a whole bunch of wonderful comic books, and you guys should be checking all of their titles out. The team's gotten quite large. Yep. I saw you guys are up to 6 or 7?
We're up to five people, and we have at least 5. We have 5 books that we're currently working on, and then we have a bunch of mini stuff. Mike's actually Mike Wilcox, shout out to him, is making kind of like a coffee table book. He's starting to do those types of things, and he has a I don't want to give it away because I know he's going to end up being on one of the shows. I'll let him talk about it, but some interesting funny stuff with that.
Awesome. And Tobes, you want to tell the people anything?
Folks, follow me on Instagram at thatfitdude. That's
Dave,
everything, yo.
Where do they follow you?
Merc_Witta, that's WITTA_mouth.
There you go. And our next issue that we'll be doing is Black, written by Kwanzaa Osejiefo, art by Tim Smith III and Jamal Eagle. It came out in about 2016, and we're going to be reviewing that one on the next issue of That's Canon. So you guys make sure you read up on that. There's 6 issues out, and I think there's going to be actually a Black 2 that's going to be coming out, but make sure you read the first run from 2016. Guys, that's it. That's all. I'm Brian Holiday on Instagram. Thank you for tuning into the show. Peace. Peace, y'all.
Deuces.